This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 460.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology. The technology.
Why, hello, everybody. This is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. As next weekend is a holiday weekend, there are no WordCamps next weekend. So just relax, take some time for yourself and your family, and enjoy the holidays that you celebrate. So there's that. All right, moving on. Segment one. In the news, two things to talk about here. State of the Word 2022 happened last week. It was live streamed on YouTube. I watched the whole thing. There's a video. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. And there are plenty of people who did a wrap-up. I'd suggest just watch it. Now that it's on YouTube, you can actually watch it in a little bit faster. There's a lot going on there. The one thing I do want to mention, though, also part of the news, is that there's a new WordPress Sandbox project, and there's a demo that lets you test drive themes and plugins in the browser. There's a link to that in the show notes as well. That's pretty cool. It really alleviates any issues with trying to set up servers sometimes, because you always have to have a backend and have a staging server to test things. So that's pretty darn cool. So I wanted to mention that as well. So I think that is it in the news, kind of a light news week as we wrap up the year here. Yeah, that's it there. Moving on to segment two, the meat potatoes of this week's episode. How ultra marathons are like running a business. So as some of you know, I'm a bit wacky, perhaps crazy even. Though I don't consider myself a runner, many of you do. Friends who listen to the show, who know me well at this point. Okay, so now that I've completed 3 ultra marathons in a single year, I'm sort of accepting the fact that maybe I am a runner. So that being said, the events that I ran this year and the work that I did leading up to them got me thinking how running ultras is very much a correlation to running a business and the lessons I learned. And I mean, I was out there for a lot of hours, but almost 800 hours this year running, training for the events I did. So with that, I have 5 things I want to share with you, like how running ultras is like running a business and what I learned and what you can do as well. So number one, you're not going to win. You're not going to always win the event, or ever for that matter. So with races and the challenges that I've done, most of us and myself, I'm not going to win the actual event. There are some world-class athletes out there, and based on age and experience, probably not likely. Though you may do really well in your age class, in your age group, that's fine. But as far as the business side of this goes, in this case, you may not win all the proposals that you submit either. And that's okay, and you should be okay with that. Now, on the flip side, if you are winning all the races, that's awesome. Maybe pick harder events, longer durations, maybe level up a bit. And regarding the contracts and bids, if you win all those, it's definitely a sign to level up, meaning, raise your prices, get more focused on getting better clients as well. But I mean, if you're winning every bid that you put out there, you're probably too low on pricing and you might need to grow the team. So there's always been that, that correlation. So if you win everything, it's time to raise your prices. Okay. Number 2, know when to quit. And what I mean by that is this. From the run perspective, don't push through just because of what we call sunken costs. Training time, travel, registration fees, the money you put into buying the equipment. You may come out hurt. If you're really not feeling good, that's a concern. If you're sick, you always need to be assessing how things are going during the run. Check in often. I do. Even when I walk the dog, I'm like, oh, does that hurt? What's going on here? Should I run tomorrow? I mean, it's a mind game. It's difficult, but you need to know when to quit. Just because you've registered for something or you have some a vested interest, maybe pushing through isn't smart. In this case, on the business side, you may have to let a client go for multiple different reasons. You need to fire them. It could be toxic. They could cause undue stress. Yeah, it's time to know when to take the time and take that leap of faith that it's the right thing to do to fire a client. Okay? Number 3. Know when to get help. Now, this is a weird one because runners don't need coaches. I mean, we just lace up our shoes and we go running, right? Well, not exactly. There's mindset, nutrition, strength. Yeah, there's a lot there. Mindset, I'm doing pretty good so far there. Nutrition, not as well. Strength, not at all. I need a coach for that. But, you need trainers. That's what trainers exist for. Coaches are the same kind of thing. in the fitness world, right? The same could be said for running a business. We could use a coach to help outsource sales, production, financial accounting, even the basics of mindset for running a business as well. A lot of us have pre-existing conditions in our brain that limit us, upper limiting beliefs. The book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, I believe it is. I read that yearly because sometimes we just limit ourselves and we have self-fulfilling prophecy that I'm not good enough, we're not smart enough to go to the next level, right? So you need to know when to get help. And I'm actually in the process right now of trying to find a nutrition coach. I want to figure how to really dial that in so I'm just better that way. Okay. Number 4, take rest days. Now, runners hate these. Trust me. I'm actually torn right now between what's worse, the taper week before the race or the week after the race when I'm resting, when I'm recovering. Because the week before, I just feel so unproductive. It kills me not to go for a run or long runs. Your body gets used to it. But you need to taper so you rest, and then you have better energies the day of the event. The week after, in my most recent case, 2 to 3 days later, I felt fine, and I wanted to run. But I was smart, and I took an extra couple days, did a light run just yesterday, and I honestly felt a little heavy. But then, after about a mile and a half or 2, I was like, oh, this feels okay. But I took the full week of rest. Now, relating that to business, it shows itself in burnout. We know this. I've mentioned this plenty of times over the past 8.5 years of this podcast. You have to get away from work. You need to take a step back. It's totally needed. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be scheduled monthly, if not weekly. Take time off. Protect your brain. Protect your energy because burnout is a real thing. I can't state that hard enough. Or more adamantly. So definitely take more rest days that you think. Take more than you think you need. Double the rest days you think you need in the business as well as in running. Okay. And number 5, having a larger goal. Now, from the running side, the goal could be a personal record, a PR, we call it, or a distance that you want to accomplish. I'm looking at moving from the 50K to the 50 mile next year. As crazy as that sounds, 19 more miles. What the heck, right? But I'm going to have to plan that out, get help, know when to quit in case I don't want to get hurt, taking rest days, and no, I'm not going to win. So taking the first 4 into this number 5, having a larger goal, I want to accomplish that. On the business side, the larger goal could be the number of clients I have, which I do want more clients, or the income level. I want more income, growing the team, maybe selling the business eventually to then retire so I can then run more. See what I did there? Okay. So those are my 5. The 5 things that I have kind of put in perspective of my running and my business and how they kind of overlap, and they're very much connected in my life. So I hope that helps you. Love to hear your feedback on this. If you have any thoughts, let me know. You can always email me, adam@KitchensinkWP.com. All right, moving forward, segment 3, the tip and tool of the week. This week's tool is one I just found by chance. It's called Email Extractor. It's actually at a weird email URL. I'll put a link in the show notes. It lets you upload a PDF that might have email addresses in it. I needed to use this for some emailing marketing I was doing for a client, and it pulls out all the email addresses it finds in the PDF. Pretty cool, and it's free, by the way. So again, I'll put a link to it in the show notes. It's the Email Extractor web tool. Works really well, and I was like, score, this is awesome. So that was saving me a lot of time. So there you go. All right, let me wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead and send them in via email, adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or use that SpeakPipe function on the website. You can support the show, become a Patreon. I would love that. You can sponsor the show. There's a form on the website as well. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right, bye-bye.